Hey guys, and welcome to day 9 of the piano challenge. So this is a little bit of an unusual video. Hopefully you could hear me fine because just as I started talking about this, I'm at the airport. There's like a loud in the background just out of nowhere. I have no idea what it is. Maybe a plane. I guess that would be fitting because I'm at an airport. So anyway, yeah, so here I am, and it. So the topic that I wanted to bring up to you guys today is listening to music. And a lot of the times when I suggest to my students to listen to music, they're kind of just like, yeah, I'll maybe just practice more piano. And I find like the act of listening to music is really undervalued as not actual study. Like it doesn't count, and I feel like it's such the opposite. So the thing about learning piano is there's tons and tons and tons of repertoire out there that exists in the world, way more than you could ever hope to play. I mean, even the most motivated piano student is not going to play everything that exists. Uh, Maybe you're really into Beethoven sonatas. Like, how much time and effort would it take to learn all of Beethoven's sonatas? There's like 20 of them or something like that. I can't remember exactly how many, but there's a lot. And that would be like some performers have done it, like really high level performers, but it's a huge effort. So uh, yeah, basically there's just way too much repertoire. Can you imagine trying to learn everything Chopin wrote, like all his nocturnes, all his etudes, like everything, like his ballades? It's just hundreds of pieces. So the idea that I like to approach my students with is that it's not about uh, the amount that you could possibly learn in your life on the piano. There's that. Oh, it's getting louder. I don't know what's maybe something's driving by the hallway. Hopefully that's not too obnoxious for you guys. But the actual practicing the repertoire you could play versus the amount of repertoire that exists that you could listen to, it's such a gap. It's like, maybe you could get like 10% of that pie, or maybe you get 5% of that pie, but there's like this 95% of pie that you're not getting access to, because you can't practice that much music. So there's two prongs to that. One prong is do more sight reading, because the more sight reading you do, the more access you have to new repertoire that you wouldn't have otherwise heard. And then the other prong of that is listen to music. Actually, listen to music. I'm not talking about, throw on the. I feel kind of bad because this guy's has a cameo in my video. I just realized that. But yeah, I'm not talking about listening to music when you're cooking or just like kind of having it on in the background. I'm talking about spend 10 minutes a day. So this is the challenge. And I wanted to make it more specific than just listen to anything. I wanted to challenge you to listen to something by Bach. And we'll get to some ideas of what you could listen to. I'll talk through some of his piano collections. But the idea is spend 5 to 10 minutes and just like really listen, like sit down with your headphones. It would be even better if you go to imslp.org and find the sheet music for whatever you're listening to as well, and just kind of follow along. Even if you're not very good at reading, like if you're at an earlier level and the Bach piece you're wanting to listen to is you can still, most people can still kind of follow it based on like the shapes. It depends on how much of a beginner you are, but I do encourage you to follow along with the sheet music because I find that adds another layer of depth. When I follow along, listen to it and follow along with sheet music, I hear the structure. I actually hear the structure. It's like if I'm listening to a pop song and I'm reading the lyrics while I'm listening, it gives me a sense of how everything is formatted. It's like, oh, okay, this is a verse, this is a chorus. And you can pick up on that by listening, but it makes it a lot more clear if you actually have that in front of you. So, and you can start seeing patterns in the chords and stuff like that as well. You can see like, oh, it looks like we're coming back around to this like D minor thing again, if you're pretty like a deaf sight reader. So yeah, I highly recommend just listening with music sometimes as a totally productive use of your time. It's also good for your ear because you're going to be just training yourself to like following a score just by and just listening is like an excellent ear activity because you're going to get used to hearing like melodic shapes, certain chord patterns. Like you're just going to start building bridges between what's on the page to what the music's supposed to sound like. Which maybe seems like a really obvious thing, but I find people don't spend enough time developing their ear or just think that they have to do isolated like interval training exercises. But listening to music in and of itself is a fabulous exercise. So specifically to Bach now. All right, so I want you to spend 5 to 10 minutes, pick a piece by Bach. It could be something totally random or something that's like pretty famous. I have done videos on the channel, for example. That's a really long one. That would take you way longer than 5 to 10 minutes. But you could always explore some of the Bach that we've done on the channel. Another idea. So I'm going to talk about his piano collections. So the ones that I would recommend picking a piece from to listen to would be one of his inventions. Those are like at a 7 to 8 level, and they're written in two-part form. So you know how yesterday we talked about Kunz's canons and how it's kind of written as like two melody lines at once. That's what Bach's inventions are like. So that's kind of like sort of like starter Bach. Like it's not starter Bach because it's a grade 7 level, but it's some of the easier ones if you're following along with the music, and it's really musically interesting. And then a step up from that is his sinfonias, which instead of being 2 lines, there's 3 lines. There's like 3 embedded melodies in a sinfonia, so it's 3-part inventions. And then a step beyond that, and this is a great collection. So his Well-Tempered Clavier, book 1 and 2, and each one of these is a pairing of a prelude and a fugue in all 12 major and minor keys. And each book has all 12 major and minor keys. So they're really cool. Some of you might be familiar with the Prelude in C major. It's a pretty famous Bach piece. But you might not be familiar with the fugue that's paired alongside it. And it's a fiendishly difficult fugue. So if that's something that interests you, I encourage you to explore that composition. But anything in the Well-Tempered Clavier would be wonderful, time consuming to listen to, because each individual set like of a prelude and fugue is about 5 minutes, often sometimes less, maybe a little more, but it's in that kind of sweet spot. Plus, it's 2 divided compositions, so it's kind of like 2 short pieces, so it's really easy to follow along. Whereas something like a Beethoven sonata, if it's a 20-minute long sonata form composition, it can be really difficult to follow along because it's just so long. It's so overwhelming. It's like, where's the development? Where's the codetta? And you're kind of, I don't know. It's just a lot to think about. But his prelude and fugue, since they're nice, short, and sweet, each one is like 2 pages, so it's like a 4-page composition. It's really nicely divided that way. So I really recommend those. You could go and get into his English suites or his French or his partitias. All of those would be really interesting too. So the suites there's like a set of dance movements. So there's like minuets and bourrées and all those. So those are longer listens, but you could pick like an individual dance movement perhaps from one of them. And yeah, just have the experience of going deep with it, ideally with music. And what I want you to do is go over to Facebook and share your experience with us. So I think it would be really cool if you shared what piece you listened to, so that on our Facebook page, we just get this nice selection of a whole bunch of Bach pieces, so that we can kind of check it out and see what other people are listening to and maybe find new Bach pieces to explore. Of course, you don't have to do just his piano music. You could do some of his like his cello suites or like anything. There's a whole bunch of great Bach music that isn't just piano. I just wanted to talk about his specifically piano compositions for this video. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about that, guys. I'm going to look at the chat for a minute, and then I'm going to hop off and stop being obnoxious in the airport, which is kind of what I feel like I'm doing right now. I feel like I'm wearing my headphones, so I'm not aware of how loud I'm talking. You know what I mean? So there's probably people like way down there who are like, "Oh man, that girl's so loud." Oh, Grace, you are too sweet. That is you're gonna make me blush with a comment like that. The duettos, Caleb. What duettos by Bach? I'm not familiar with those. You'll have to let me know. Oh, the Prelude in C sharp from the Well-Tempered Clavier, Dave is mentioning. Nahad is saying, I don't even play the piano. Well, that's cool. You can still listen to some Bach and get a kick out of that. So yeah, let me know. Oh, it looks like my chat disconnected, and share your Bach listening experience with us. I'm really eager to see what you guys pick for yourselves. And without further ado, I'm just going to wrap this up, and I'll catch you tomorrow from my fancy destination.